Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Carrie, and it has been a while. This is my little corner of the YouTube universe where I like to talk about all the things that I make. This time it will be quilting and knitting, which is pretty much what it usually is. And I didn't realize how long it's been since the last time I recorded. I thought, well, it's been about a month. It's been 2 months. And I don't like to go that long. I had talked about last time, like, oh, maybe I'll just like record as I go along. That doesn't work for me because most of the time I look like a mess. I mean, let's be honest, I don't even get a shower every day. So the thought of like recording, I'd have to like take a shower, but you know. So we're going to do it like this, and it is what it is. I appreciate you being here. I come to you from just outside of Portland, Oregon, and today is cloudy, humid. We're going to be getting into the 90s this weekend, which is not my favorite. It is June 5th, 2025, and yeah, summer's approaching. For some of you, you probably For some of you, you're probably already in summer weather. We have been cooler, and it was real drizzly yesterday. So today, it's muggy, warming up. It's going to be hot this weekend, and so I wanted to get this done before it gets too hot. Because if you've been here a while, you know I don't like to be up here in my beautiful craft room when it's hot because it's hot in here. So, what have I been doing the last couple of months? We've had a couple of camping trips, which were fun. And nothing too exciting, just camping. And yeah, I've just been kind of making stuff and not really anything too exciting, which I guess is part of the reason why I haven't felt like I needed to record or wanted to record, because I just didn't feel like I had a whole lot to share. So gathered all my things, like today is the day. So here we are. I have a couple of quilts. So this quilt, you probably recognize from the last time that I finished. I did quilt it. And so now I'm deciding on the binding. And then I'm like, do I really want to hang it? I don't know that I love it that much that I want to hang it. So I'm sort of on the fence with it. That is a pattern by Knitted Blooms. I intended to make 4 of these small quilts depicting the different seasons. And so this is my summer, which, like I said, it's quilted. I just need to put a binding on it and some way of hanging it and figure out where I want to put it. If I do, I'm still on the fence with it. I like it. I don't love it. So there we are. The other quilt that's on the wall is a quilt top. I haven't quilted it yet because I'm not sure if I'm done with it yet. If you watched Fiber Hustle's last episode, Chip talked about it. We did in our little Saturday Zoom sewing group, decided to do a Jelly Roll Race quilt. Now, Jelly Roll Race quilts came about 10 years ago, where to just kind of have fun with maybe your guild or just a group of friends or whatever, where you take a jelly roll, which is a roll of fabric. All the strips are cut in 2.5 inches, and it's usually a whole line, like the whole line of whatever line of fabric that is. I didn't have a jelly roll. I had a half jelly roll that I got from somebody, won it somewhere, something, and it was all shades of purples. And at some point in my quilting making journey, I had started to cut 2.5 inch strips from leftover fabric that from making a quilt or some sort of project. I'm like, oh, I've got a little bit left. Let me make a couple of strips. And so I mixed that with the half jelly roll. And I don't know how many I actually had. Usually a jelly roll is 40 to 42 strips. I think I had more than that because I had 20 of the purple and then an abundance of whatever. I'm like, I'm just using this up. I've had this stuff forever, saving it for God knows what, but I had it. Let's just use it. And so just a brief summary, what you do is you take the strips and their width of fabric, which is about 42 inches, and you sew them end to end and make one big long strip of 2.5 inch fabric. And if you used a jelly roll, you technically have about 1,600 inches of this strip. I don't know how much I had. So I just took a purple and then one of the other ones that I had pre-cut from previous stuff. Purple, just alternated till I ran out of purples, and then I just started slapping stuff together. No rhyme or reason. I didn't care if it matched because I'm like, I probably won't even like this quilt. It's just, we're just doing this for fun. I did make a race bib that I wore during our little race. Because I wanted to be number one. I wasn't number one. I was technically number two, but I think number one cheated. So whatever. But you got this whole strip of fabric, and then you just take your top end, take the bottom end, put it together, sew the edge down, cut that across the fold that you end up with at the bottom, take that, bring it up, and you just keep doing that until you get a quilt the size you want it. And I had a pretty decent size quilt top, and I'll put a picture of it here. And then someone in the group, when they were researching like how to do jelly roll race, like there's different versions of it where you can add different things and whatever, they showed somebody that cut the quilt top. So you've made this whole quilt top. It's just horizontal strips, and then you cut it and you get this square. So I thought, let me try it. What the heck? This is just for fun. And so I did. And so I cut it in half. How did I cut it in half? Cut it in half so it was like more like a rectangle. Cut it in half lengthwise, and then cut that in diagonal. Something like that. Ended up with 4 triangles, sewed those together. So now I have a square quilt, which I don't really love square quilts, but whatever. It's about 40 something inches wide at this point. I still have the other half. And so this gives you an idea of like what went together. None of it really meant to go together. Like I said, this was a leftover from a quilt that I ended up giving to my sister-in-law. This was from a bag that I made years ago. Like, I have all this like quilt fabric. So I still have this half. And I'm not sure to make that more of a rectangle, and why, because I don't need it, right? I could leave it like that and have it just be a baby quilt. But what I could do is use what's left here, somehow add maybe to the top and bottom to just make it more rectangular, or make another square one and have 2 square ones and then donate them. I'm not sure. So right now it's just hanging on the wall trying to like give me inspiration. But that was a lot of fun. We finished it. It was under 2 hours. And it was interesting because normally when you quilt, you sew your seams, you press, you sew your seams, you press. Well, this, because you're racing and it's to see who can get through it the fastest, you just sew, and so you didn't press anything. So it's a little wonky just because pressing it afterwards, you don't get as good of a press, but it's fine. It's totally fine. It was fun, and it was really fun to see how the different jelly rolls that some of our friends had, how the quilt turned out. And so, if you're curious and you haven't seen the Fiber Hustles last episode, go watch that, because Chip showed some pictures of our quilts on there. And I think we may do it again. And actually, if you really need a quick quilt for a baby or for a gift or something, it's really an easy way to make a quilt, and it just ends up being kind of scrappy. Now you can, I don't know if you can tell, see where I joined them? I joined them on the 45. You can join them straight. It gives it a completely different look. You can add little squares of something else in between to make it dotted. Now I cut mine up to make it look like this, but it's normally, horizontal lines. So it was a lot of fun to do. We talked smack, and it was just something fun to do. I would make another one. I don't have jelly rolls. I don't buy pre-cuts a whole lot. I don't really buy fabric a whole lot. I mean, I buy fabric for a project. I've always kind of been that way. And so I don't just have like stacks of stuff. I have scraps from leftover from other projects. A couple of things that are like, maybe a yard left or 2 yards left from something, but for the most part, I just have scraps. So, yeah. Which, speaking of scraps, with this knitted bloom, so this is from Lo and Behold Stitchery. I will put the link, and anything else that I talk about will be in the description. And if there's anything I forgot that you're curious about that you can't find on your own, contact me. I'll give you the deets. But I'm working on my fall version or autumn version of my Knitted Blooms wall hanging. And I've got one block done. So this is what I've got done. I actually like this a lot better than the summer one. And it's not just because it's purple. There's just something about it that I like it better. So I've got this one done, and there will be flowers in this like rust color. There will be flowers in this green color, and then I have like a teal color. So that will be my autumn. It's totally changed from what I had originally thought when I was pulling fabrics, but I liked it. I like how it's going to turn out. I am using just fabric that's just scraps. Like I had just enough of this beige from some other project, some other quilt, that I could do it in here. This is left, it's all like leftovers from stuff, but if I have enough, I'm using it. So that is in the works. I'm working on that during my Saturday sew time, because I don't really sew during the week. So that is my quilting stuff. No like future plans with quilting, because other than just getting through my seasonal quilt tops, because I don't need quilts. I don't need anything really, but I like making things, so I have things. I have been knitting. I haven't been doing any crochet, but I have been knitting, and I have been working on making some samples for Fiber Hustle for when they vend at Flock. So Flock is a fiber festival held in Seattle in August, and it's like August 9th and 10th, somewhere around there, whatever that weekend is. And I unfortunately am not going to be able to go this year. Probably. I'm going to try, but probably not. I had planned to, but I am scheduled for hip replacement surgery in July. So I'm having my other hip replaced. I had my left one done last April, and I'm having my right one done in July, which means it'll only be a month after my surgery for Flock, and I just don't know that I can swing it. I can't remember what my mobility was like a month later, like if I feel like I could do it. I just don't want to end up being in the way or being a distraction for them, and but I want to support them. So it's up in the air, but it's not, we'll see. I know at 2 months I was like awesome. A month I can't remember, which means I probably was still hobbling around. But anyway, unfortunately I won't be at Flock. Hopefully a lot of you still will, and you will go and support my friends at the Fiber Hustle booth, because they're awesome and they have awesome products. Chip's got great knitting baskets, and Erin makes beautiful yarn that I love. So in doing like sample stuff, I have finished some things. One thing is here on my little mannequin, because it's like hot and muggy and I'm not wearing it. This is the Cowl Cape, and I had finished a previous one, or one previously, with a 2-row stripe, 1-row stripe. I can't remember. I think it was 2-row with the gradient, and you can look back. It's probably on last episode or the one before. And I love it. I wore it like quite often in the cold weather, and I thought I would love to have another one, because I do wear this. It just throws over the shoulders just to give you that little bit of warmth without feeling like you're wearing a sweater. So I told Erin, I said, I want to make another one. I'll make one out of your yarn. So I got The darker color is Last Call at the Disco. It is such a good color. It's just got, it's just beautiful. I'm like, I have to make something out of it. And then the other color is Can I Swim in There? Because it's blue with like, does it look like it's blood in the water? Erin's got a great sense of humor. So I chose to do a 6-row repeat stripe so that I could see the colors better, like it showed off a little bit better. Because with the 2-row stripe, you know, you're just getting that thin little stripe. And this, I really wanted to see the yarn. So I did it as it's meant to have this big cowl. I don't knit it that way. I knit it with a cast on the same amount of stitches, but just knit a ribbing to make it like a crew neck. I knit this on a 6 and I put the collar on a 5, and so did some ribbing for about an inch, about the same amount of rows I think as the stripes. Knit it for about 3 inches before I started the increases, did the increases to the number that you're supposed to, and then just kept knitting. It does have a picot edge, which I do like. I think it adds a really nice finish to it. And yeah, I think it turned out really nice. The yarn is just gorgeous. It's just beautiful. I think I ended up making this maybe like one stripe shorter than the other one. I'm not sure, but it's close enough. So it comes to just about my elbow bend, and that's great because then I've got freedom of movement without it like doing anything. I can also just wear it as a cowl if I wanted to. I don't. I wear it as like a shoulder cover kind of thing. So love that. Another project I finished, and this will also be a sample. This will be a sample in their booth, and this other project I finished will be a sample if I don't drop everything. It's something I started last year, and I said to them, if I can get it done before flock, I'll try, but I was working on other stuff for them and I just didn't get it finished. So this year I thought I'm going to finish it for this year's flock, and it was a special request from Chip. And actually I'm going to go get my original before I show you what I made. Okay, for you OGs, you may remember, I don't know how many years ago I made this. It's been several years. I made this. So this was adapted from a pattern from Maxim Cyr, and it's called Alpaca Pillow, and it's from a sweater pattern. So the pattern has this alpaca on the front of the sweater, and I'm like, I just love the design. I just think the design is just super cute, and I thought, I'm not gonna make a sweater like that, but I can make a pillow, decorative pillow. So I did. I also made one with a blue background for a friend of mine for Christmas, I think it was. So I've made 2 of these, and so Chip loves it, absolutely loved it, and was like, you need to make me one, you need to make me one. I thought, okay, I'll make you one. So last year we decided, how about if you make one and use it, use Fiber Hustle yarn, it can be a sample. So like I said, I started it last year, put it aside because it wasn't going to make it for the show, finishing it this time, and I did. So this is using Fiber Hustle yarn. This green is Golden Kelp, and then the white is London Fog, and I did hold it with a strand of mohair from Hobby Yarns, and it's just a white, just to give them a little fluff and a little bit of depth, like it's just a little bit thicker. So the black, so his feet and his face, and the little bit of gray that's on his face, that's all duplicate stitched. And so I just made it basically the same as I did mine, and I made it into a pillow. So Chip sent me the fabric, and this is Juicy Juice fabric. I made a pillow out of muslin to the measurements that I knew would fit what I knitted, and I made a pillow. So I'm so glad this is done. I'm really happy that I finished this for Chip and that they'll be able to use it as a sample and in their home somewhere. So that was a long project because this is intarsia. So I was doing color work on the purl side, plus you're like, especially here, you work it from the bottom up. You've got 2 bobbins of white yarn because you don't carry it over. Like it was a labor of love. So they're siblings. And yeah, so if you go to Flock, you'll be able to see this in their booth, hopefully. And I'm really, really pleased with how it turned out, and I'm really glad it's done. So I've got one more project. So that's, I think, all. Oh no, another finish before I go into another project. So quite a while ago, I just decided I wanted to make a sweater for Jim. And somebody sent me a pattern that she loves for her husband. And I had knit it the whole body, and I was knitting the sleeves. And I said, Jim, try this on just to be sure. I wanted to know, like, sleeve length, how far do I go? And he goes, the sleeves feel a little tight. I'm like, okay. So I ripped the sleeves back, started over, I don't know, picked up more stitches or used a bigger needle. I can't remember what I did. Knit the sleeves again to about the elbow, and I said, try it on, like, how does this feeling? And he goes, no, it feels like it's too tight in here. So the yoke depth was too small, and I'm like, you know what? I'm over it. I'm so over it. I ripped the whole sweater out, and I thought, I'm just going to knit a sweater on my knitting machine. So I've talked about my whole knitting machine journey. I have 2 different machines. I have a standard gauge, which goes up to fingering, maybe sport, and I have a mid gauge which goes up to about a worsted to maybe Aran. And I'm like, okay, I'm working with worsted yarn. I'll use that machine. I plugged in my gauge into the Knit It Now website, which then generates a pattern for you, and put in what, his arm length and his torso length, and put all the measurements in and knit the sweater. And we were going to be going camping, and I knew the weather was going to be decent, but nights were going to be cold. And I thought, oh, it'd be really nice if he had his wool sweater for that. So I really stuck with it and busted my butt to get it done. And I got it done. And the sleeves were probably 5 inches too long. I don't know what happened, because I put in what my gauge was. So I put in, my row gauge and my stitch count. And it was like, he's got long arms, but that was pretty ridiculous. And I thought, oh my gosh. So we figured out where it needed to go. I put it on needles and then ripped it back. Now, you're decreasing, right? And I thought, you know what? If he has a balloon sleeve, he has a balloon sleeve. At this point, I don't really care. This is the second time I'm knitting this sweater, and at this point, I'm done. And so I just took it back to that, and then did I hand knit? Can't remember now if I put it back on the machine and did the ribbing on the machine, or if I hand knit it, but I finished it. And I was literally binding it off and sewing it together till the day before we left for camping. And so I finished it. He got a sweater. He's like, I love it. It's great. It fits good. And he never wore it. So I'm so glad that I worked so hard to get him this damn sweater. It is nothing fancy. It's just a crew neck sweater. I don't know what happened with the gauge. Honestly, everything else fit. Like the body length is good. The arm length just turned out way too long for some reason. But it worked, it absolutely worked. Like I said, I may have done that. I don't know. I can't remember. Blocked it out of my mind. I was so over it. I'm really loving this bind off that I've been doing, which now I can't remember what it's called. Is it the Italian bind off? Sewn bind off, maybe? Really love the look of it, and I don't even have to look it up and concentrate, except I can't remember what it's called. So, simple raglan, no, it's not raglan, drop shoulder sleeve, which could be, no, It's not even drop shoulder because it fits him right at the shoulders. Because that's another thing, like with drop shoulder, and they say, well, how long do you want your sleeve? I'm like, well, I don't know. It depends on how far it drops, right? This actually fits him right at the shoulder. So he has a sweater. Will he ever wear it? I don't know. And at this point, that's all he's getting. I have talked about how he's not really knit worthy. I love him to death, but I don't think he's ever worn the socks I've knit for him. He will occasionally wear a hat that I knit, and I made a whole bunch of acrylic hats, or hats out of acrylic yarn one year for a donation, and he wears one of those, which was made out of Red Heart scratchy yarn. And not all Red Heart scratchy, but this is particular, and that's what he wears. Not the hand-dyed yarn hat that I've made him. Oh no, let's wear the Red Heart hat so he doesn't get anything else. So the sweater's done. In doing the different projects recently that I have done on my knitting machine, I'm learning, which has inspired me to make another sweater on the machine. I want to make a cardigan, which maybe I'll go into that now. So this is just because I'm talking about it. It's something that I'm mentally working on, of trying to figure out what I want to do. So I don't know why I started digging around in my yarn. Maybe I was putting some stuff away. It's always very dangerous because I love putting colors together. And so I'll put stuff away and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, look at that. That goes with that. Pretty soon I've pulled a whole bunch of yarn for a project that I'm not going to make. But I'm like, I really want to make this. So I have from Deep Stash a couple of skeins from Savvy Skeins. This is Pandemonium. I don't know if she still dyes this colorway. I know that she would only dye it occasionally because it's a very labor-intensive colorway. And so one year she dyed it, and I'm like, I'm buying 2 skeins of it because I love it, and I'll figure out something to do with it. Well, 2 skeins is like, what are you going to do, right? So then I had gotten... Why did I get it? Maybe I got it to go with this. So this is a Cascade 220 fingering weight. Oops, sorry. It's a fingering weight. What do they call it? Heritage? I don't remember. In this like teal color, because that goes amazing. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so pretty. Let me just whip up a little sample on my knitting machine. So I did, and I think it looks really, really good. But I don't have enough yarn to make a sweater with just those 2 colors. And so I thought, do I get more of the blue? I can't get any more of that Pandemonium, but I can get more of the teal color. And then I thought about it, and I thought, let me add another color, because more color is more better. And I'm going to add this burgundy color. So between the teal, the Pandemonium, and the burgundy color. Oh, here, this is the Cascade. Yeah, it's Heritage. I was able to get it at a really good price. They were having it on sale. Did I get it through Webs? I may have gotten it through Webs. And it was like $7 a skein or something. So, I couldn't really resist that. So now I have the 2 solids to go with this Pandemonium. And I'm like trying to decide how I want it to look. My idea was to make a cardigan, which I can do on my machine, and like one side of the cardigan has maybe stripes like this wide, the other side has really big stripes, or it's solid, like kind of mix and match and have it be just kind of funky. So I just need to get started with it, but I'm trying to put my focus into the sample stuff that I'm making. So, so that's going to be an upcoming project. I think it's going to be really a pretty sweater. Now my concern with the fact that the arms came out so long on Jim's, and even the green vest that I had made is just a trial. It turned out longer than I had anticipated it to turn out. So there's something that I'm missing when I'm blocking, or I'm not sure, that's making things a little bit longer. So I can either go like figure the pattern and just shorten it. Just think, okay, it's going to turn out longer than I think it will. I don't know. I'm still like in that processing and planning stage in my brain. So it may happen, it may not. I'd like to have it for Rhinebeck possibly, which I still am planning on going to. Rhinebeck will be about the amount of time from my hip replacement to Rhinebeck as I was last year from my hip replacement to flock, and I was able to do it fine. So I'm assuming I'm going to be able to do it fine for Rhinebeck. So that is the plan. The plan without a plan. I just gotta, like I said, I gotta figure out how I want to do it. Another sample I have done and I finished is a sock. So this is Obsession for the Creatives. This is a Fiber Hustle colorway. I mean, guess who he had in mind when he dyed this? So that was, and I do these on my machine. Just put in the heel, toe, and cuff, which I like to do in the matching yarn because that's just what I like to do. Another sample I am working on, let me see if I can pull the yarns out. It's in my chip basket. I've got moose tracks. I'm getting down, so there's not a lot. So I have moose tracks, and I have Everything is Everything, which is from an album inspiration, an Erykah Badu album, Everything is Everything. So I am doing the Prismarine Scarf. And I have been working on this for a while because I've been doing other things, right? And so now I'm getting like into the home stretch. I really want to get this finished because I'm really itching to cast on something new. And so here it is. I am able to do it without looking at the pattern. It is mosaic, so you're slipping stitches to get the design. It switches from what you have as your background color. This is pretty subtle, which I did want to have it be more subtle. I didn't want it to be as bold as a lot of the other things I make, just for a change of pace. So I think I have to, so I'm currently in where the white is the background, and then I do another section where the orange is the background, and I think that's the end. So she, in the pattern, and it's a pattern, it's called Prismarine, and it's Alina Apasova, and she did 5 of the color blocks of each color. So right now I have 4 of each color. I'm working on the 5th with the white background, and then the 5th of the orange background will be what she did. And it's probably going to make it long enough at that point because it's already getting, it's already getting pretty long. So there we go. And because it's mosaic, the back side just looks like garter. You can almost see the color changes better on the back. So yeah, that's getting finished, and I think that's the last of my sample knits for them. I was thinking of doing a single skein project. I just don't know that I can get it done now before flock, or before I can send all this stuff up to them. So I'm counting on that being my last one, and then I'll just do a knit for fun. The other project I'm working on is with some hand spun. So I got some fiber sent to me by my wonderful friends Kevin and Michael, and it was fiber from Three Waters Farm, I think. It didn't have a tag on it, and now I can't really remember. I don't even remember what the content of this fiber is. The idea was we were all going to spin at the same time, well, try to spin at the same time, and make the Traveler's Cowl by Andrea Mowry. They have finished. They have made their cowls. They've worn their cowls. I was still spinning mine. It was like taking me forever to spin it and get to it. Now the colors that they sent me it came in 3 like clumps. And when I looked at them, I thought they kind of look like a gradient if you spun them in a certain order. So that's how I'm going about it. I did do it as a chain ply, so that gave it as a 3 ply. And you can see where that's lighter, and then it's slowly getting darker. And now I'm getting even darker here. And then, let's see if you can see. It will gradiate, whatever, into a purple. And then I have it in 3 different cakes just because of the way it's spun up. And then the purple, so I'm pulling from the outside. The purple, it will go into like a darker blue and darker purple, but it gets darker. I think it's going to look really cool once it's done. Like I said, it just took me so long to spin it. I'm excited to get to the purple because I've been knitting with blue quite a bit. And I got started on this when I went camping, and then I thought, you know what, I really need to finish that alpaca pillow. So I put this aside, and now I'm like, let me focus on getting those that sample scarf done, and then I'll focus more on this. It's pretty easy knitting. I haven't gotten to the point where I don't have to look at the pattern yet, probably because I'm not doing it consistently enough. But the yarn is pretty soft. It's going to be pretty thick, but Kevin said when he blocked his, because it opened up more, it's not as thick. But I mean, it will be a thick cowl. So this is the Traveler's Cowl by Andrea Mowry with my hand spun. Aside from the Cascade yarn that I purchased, I got lucky enough that a friend of mine went to a thrift store a while back, and she scored some Woolfolk yarn. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you scored that. So when I watch Olivia over at Stories by Olivia? Yarn Stories by Olivia. I'll link her podcast down below. But she always finds this amazing yarn at thrift stores. And I'm like, the only stuff I find at thrift stores is like somebody's junk leftover acrylic stuff, you know. Well, she found some Woolfolk, and I said, if you ever go and you find more or anything like that, let me know. So we were actually driving home from camping, and she called, and she's like, you know, the thrift store has this Woolfolk. I'm like, buy it, buy all of it. And so she's like, okay, I'll turn around and get it, which thankfully she was willing to do that. I didn't realize she had left. But I got a sweater's quantity of, this is their TYNT, which is a fingering weight yarn. It is, what is it made out of? Merino wool, 100% Ovis 21 Ultimate Merino wool. And got it for $8 a skein. That's a third of what you have to pay for it if you buy it directly from them. So it is, I don't know what color it's coming out on the screen, but it is like a very light periwinkle. So it looks gray but it's got like this purplish undertone to it. And so I, start scouring Ravelry instantly. Anytime I get new yarn, I'm like, I gotta start making something with it. So I don't know what I want to do. I've got a sweater's quantity. And I told her whatever is left over, I'll give to her, because I think what she has maybe is the same color. But it is so soft. I would never buy this for myself, like full price, because this is luxury yarn, and I would not spend that much money on yarn. I'm too cheap. I don't have the budget for that. This is my hobby that I enjoy, and it's not meant to like alter my household budget. So I would never buy this other than getting it from this thrift store. So because it came from a thrift store, and I'm like, who knows where it came from, what the situation is, I immediately put it in a bag and put it in the freezer. And then friends were like, okay, well, that doesn't kill, if there's moth eggs, it doesn't kill those. So we had a nice hot day, and then I took the bags out and put them in the sun to bake them. So I think it's been frozen and baked. I think I'm good. Any suggestions? I need, like, this is a luxury, and I can't decide what I want to make with it, but I am very excited that I have it. And thank you to my wonderful friend who thought of me and texted me and let me know it's there. So I will be maybe frequenting this thrift shop to see if there's more. But I'm excited to make something with this. They come in 50-gram skeins. So this is normally $24 for 50 grams. So it's luxury, and I got it for $8. Can't beat that. So in the works, right? I've got plenty of stuff in the works. I do need, well, I'll get myself prepped for before my surgery. I'll get some sock tubes made up so I can have socks ready to go. And just like have those projects to get me through the summer, because I'm going to be pretty laid up, at least for a little while. That is what I've been doing and what I got coming up. I don't know if I'm going to be able to record again before my surgery. More than likely, I won't have anything to really show. I plan on setting up my spinning wheel downstairs for it when it gets hot, because I can spin down there and knit. And so that's kind of, I don't know, I won't be able to get too much spinning done for a while after my surgery just because of sitting like that. But yeah, I sure know how to do a summer, don't I? It's okay. It's going to feel much better. So that is it for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and take care of yourselves, take care of other people, and I will see you next time. Bye.